thrilled to be on this panel with Margie and Kevin, who will be sharing examples as well. I think I was going to start with one quick one out of the research. Um, so we tested lots of different ways to bring this idea to life in a nationwide survey, and I'm just going to share one example here. But Julie's going to post in the chat the guide where you'll be able to see all the different ones that we tested. So here's an example where you can see, people working together to paint a mural. And this approach reminds us that we're not a nation of individuals, just of individuals, but a place where everybody has a role to play, a responsibility to contribute when we say of, by, and for the people. And so even if individually we feel like we have little power, boy, did people in our research say you're right, when we come together, we really have power. So we tested images like this one that you see with the mural that really people concluded, yeah, it's up to us. It's kind of a call to action. People reacted strongly to this idea of shared purpose. They saw it as a reflection of the idea that we, the people, means all of us. Progress depends on everyone having a role to play. It inspires a very emotional response. People describe feeling very proud in who we are and some hope about the future. When we tested it in the survey and we did some kind of pre-post experiment, we saw a jump in people's interest in voting. We particularly saw a jump among those people who feel like they have little say or feel like they are not viewed as American enough, double-digit jumps in empowerment among those folks. It also increased people's sense of national pride. Um, so if there's one takeaway that I would ask you all to leave with, it's that, celebrating people and our power, the us in US, as my friend Andy Bernstein, who's on this call, likes to say, is a really powerful way to talk about America's 250th that leaves a lot of room for creativity, but it's universal, it speaks to the moment, and it allows people to both celebrate and reflect on what else we need to be doing. Um, Kevin, jump into the conversation here. You've been doing some just marvelous work in bringing this strategy to life.
Awesome. Thank you so much. One quick question, Meg. Where can people go to find the concept boards and how can they use them in their work?
Yeah, so two things. One, Julie is putting the concept boards that we tested and our full methodology in the chat right now. And then by the end of this webinar, we'll be sharing a social media toolkit that will have kind of new and improved versions of these concept boards in a plug and play format that folks can feel free to use in any way they want.
Awesome. Okay, so Elaine,
Yeah. Thanks, Kevin. Sorry, I forgot I was muted.
no worries.
I am so excited for you to be able to talk about these graphics because we've only had them for just a minute too, so my excitement is still kind of peak. So, Kevin, please join us, chime in, talk about these incredible graphics, your process, this shareable content that I know that you really grounded in the narrative strategy, but also brought your own audiences, your own vision to it. Meg just sort of was walking us through that strategy. So can you just tell us a little bit about the audience you were designing for and that you had in mind, how you approached sort of translating this narrative strategy and the research into visuals and messages that would really kind of connect and yeah, and catch on.
Yeah,
And thank you.
for sure. Well, first I'll say, just coming into social justice work, movement work as a creative, I spent a lot of time, like 12 to 13 years, really trying to grapple with like, how can I use my creativity to help amplify stories? So I found digital strategy, and in finding digital strategy, I really was able to hone in on like just how to best use my creativity to amplify messages. So I was really excited when this project came on, and just diving right into it. So in regards to our audience with the South is a creative media firm specializing in political streetwear and apparel and storytelling, where unapologetic Black culture can define political power. Our audience trusts us to amplify campaigns and stories that empower their lives and speak unapologetically. So with our audience, our audience is very pro-Black. Our audience is really progressive. Our audience is mainly shaped by women. And our audience is in this range of 25 to 44-year-olds. We've seen that range of that group of folks show up very differently with our content. And one thing I'll also add is that our audience really enjoys a well-packaged story about pushing back on white supremacy, patriarchy, and loves to share a message when the visuals connect, when the message and the visuals connect with trending discussions happening in real time. So just diving into how did we approach translating the strategy into visuals and messages that would really connect. Obviously, again, really starts with just our clarity around who the audience is and what often works with our audience. And really trying to translate these visuals into messages, we really had to sit with what's the goal. And ultimately, the goal was to take this message and to translate it to our audience. So for us, spending time with that messaging, really figuring out, okay, what is being said? How can we translate what's being said into a script? And then how can we use that script to then amplify it with visuals? So another thing that we've seen work with our audience is that, for any given subject, discussion, topic, what really works well for our audience is not just one graphic, but a series of graphics. So that was really the thinking around like, all right, how can we take this message? How can we take this story and create a script and then take pieces of that script and apply it to, graphic 1, graphic 2, graphic 3, and essentially tell a story with all of these graphics. And, being that I, am a graphic designer, visual artist, one question that I was able to ask myself was like, all right, what's the style and approach that I want to take here? And really wanting to use this collage pop art style that really allowed us to be provocative and really help our audience be seen by using multiple visuals, again, while pairing that with the script, with the message. And one thing that I really, really just wanting to emphasize this need to like be provocative and like, tapping into, what I feel like is like my gift as an empath and really asking myself, all right, what visuals are going to actually not only resonate with me, but like if it makes me feel something, 9 times out of 10, it's going to make this audience that I know really well feel something as well. And just going right into, sharing some of the graphics and talking you all through them. In crafting this, there's always this moment where there's like, all right, what's the visual inspiration? How do I actually do this? And it did take a while to get to this series of graphics. But at some point, I recognized that, okay, we can't run away from the need to use the American flag. And also, what other visuals can we do to really set these visuals in? So using the beige colored background as like a reflection of like images of the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence. Again, using the American flag as a backdrop and not running away from that. I think personally speaking, there's this reality for me as a Black American, as a Black Haitian American in this country. I don't always immediately gravitate to the American flag, and I don't always immediately see it as a representation of me. But whenever there's this thought of like, oh yeah, I am American. Actually, I am a part of this country. I should be represented in the fabric of this country. There's this like reclaiming of the American flag. So I really felt like these images were also a part of that. This reclaiming of this of the American flag. And just this idea of being able to apply Black and brown folks, working class folks, different various imagery on the backdrop of the American flag in different, pop art collage style ways. I feel like it really allowed us to say many things while also staying really on track with what the messaging was needing us to say. I know I've said a lot. Just want to make sure that I'm on time.
Yeah, you're doing good, Kevin. But yeah, I think you can hand off to Margie when you're ready. When you're ready.
Awesome. Awesome. Yes, just wanted to just really, again, just double down on like approaching this really, there's just this desire to really lean on visuals and really just be provocative with these visuals. And that is just always a factor in our work that we try to do. So given that this project, we wanted to make sure that that was something that we did as well. And I'll pass it off to Marjorie.
Hey, Kevin, that I really love listening to artists talk about their process. Is there anything that you would add in the way of advice to other artists or even communicators about how they might want to approach doing their own work using this narrative?
Yeah, for sure. I think one thing that always comes to mind is like, for me in my process, no matter what project it is, really sitting with the messaging until it's like super familiar to me, until it's, I start to see and feel the visuals come alive. So really sitting with the messaging, but also I think about this analogy of like being a chef and like, how do you use this data and use this messaging as like a basket of ingredients to prepare a meal for you and your family? And not like it's a baking recipe that you kind of have to be very specific and very exact, or otherwise everything gets ruined. I feel like, I would really push creatives and really push artists to be confident in their skill set and 9 times out of 10, you really understand what this messaging is saying. So don't think about it too hard, but also, have fun with it and lean into your skill set.
I love that. I love the idea of having fun with it. Great believer in that. And also at Topos, we love a good metaphor. So I like the meal option. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Margie, and this is a perfect moment for you to join and talk about pieces you've been leading on this for us, particularly visual pieces around collecting real world examples, populating sort of an inspiration gallery and Instagram and stuff. So please, talk about those aspects of it and, what people who may want to contribute ideas or draw inspiration, how they can engage with these other kind of more real world things that we've been both producing as well as discovering and trying to put in the right place for people to be able to access for inspiration or to plug and play. But thank you.
Thanks, Elaine. Yeah, happy to do that. And Sabina, if you want to click start on this video, it'll give people a little view of the inspiration gallery that we and some of our partners have created together. And the link to the gallery itself, Julie just put that in the chat if you want to take a look at it. The gallery is growing, and we're going to be continuing to add to it over the next couple of months between now and July. And you'll see there examples that were collected by a lot of our partners and supporters and shared with us as we were doing the research and planning for releasing the guide. The examples are meant to give you sort of a way to think about, maybe inspire some of the kind of work that Kevin was talking about. Some of them are very recent, as you can see, like the examples from recent marches. And then there are others that are more historic in nature. Sabina, if you could go to the next slide. And then the next slide. So this is an example. It's historic, although it was posted recently. And honestly, these are the kinds of things sometimes we all just discover looking at our own social media and news alerts. This is a wonderful example of, I think from sometime, does it say the 1980s maybe, when a group of community members needed a place for a homeless shelter and a bigger location. And they literally just took over a spot. And they did it, as they say in the text here, many people, including the resident staff, neighborhood and community-wide volunteers, participated in the Midnight Move. We were taking control of our lives and determining our own history. We were actors, not victims. We were powerful, not powerless. So it's a wonderful example of what happens when the people are in charge. They weren't waiting for someone to give them permission or government to do something. They did it on their own. Next slide, please, Sabina. And here's another example. This is more recent. This is just a group of community members who decided to have a party for everyone. So it's a real good example of how when we talk about we the people, we're talking about all the people, and they're coming together to share a meal together. And we do on all of these gallery examples give you the source, and we love to credit the artists, and we always do that. Next slide, please, Sabina. Here's a more historic example from one of the civil rights marches, and there are a few examples like this where, as Meg was saying, we haven't always felt like the people were in charge the way they wanted to be, but we've had the opportunity, and people have taken the opportunity to take charge, to express themselves, and to change the way that things are going. Next slide. And if you want to add some examples yourself at the bottom of the gallery, if you want to send us anything, we have a place for you to do that, and we will be adding as many of these as we can to the gallery. So feel free to submit your examples. Next slide, I just want to show you quickly our Instagram account, and I think that Julie's going to put that in the chat for us. We have an Instagram account called In the Hands of the People. We just started it pretty recently. We're sharing things that we find in the wild and on Instagram here, as well as events and activities of our own. And you can see here, next slide, please. It is for the most part, really great examples of kind of joyous collective action. People coming together to address things that they want to address in their own community, or to do something for others in their own community. And there's some great examples here in these couple of slides. So follow along. Yeah, here we have an example. Go ahead and play it, Sabina. And Sabina, you can take the slides down now, I think, if you want to.
Hey, Margie, that was so fun. Can you, as I recall, you thought that last one did like really, really well on the Instagram. Do you know why? Do you have thoughts about why it did so well?
Well, I mean, it's a great example of artists coming together to bring to life the kind of narrative that we're talking about, right? This is an artist collective out of Seattle that created a huge piece of the Constitution, and they're bringing it across the country for people to sign. And anybody who wants to can sign. And I will say this: I took this video myself. I was part of the group that was what we say upholding the Constitution, literally holding the Constitution to carry it through the streets of New York. And people were stopping us along the way during a march to say they wanted to sign it. And they were whipping out Sharpies themselves from their pockets and signing as we were walking. But I think there's something about capturing things yourself of things that you're experiencing that seems to really, many of the examples of videos that I've taken of things that are happening in my community are the ones that have done really well. So I just encourage everyone, take your camera with you when you go out and about, grab a 30-second shot and post it with some words that reflect the narrative. That's a thing to do. And I also just want to note that not every Instagram account does this, but we allow downloading of our reels and remixing of our reels using the Instagram account. So feel free, grab straight out of our account and reuse it yourselves. Thank you.